It was the first time that Saudi Arabia had been chosen by a U.S. president for his debut overseas trip. Donald Trump and the Saudi leadership wanted to reset relations estranged under the Obama administration, particularly over Iran. The U.S. and the Saudis are traditional allies, but it's clearly a new relationship.
Now he has closely embraced Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, and he has literally tweeted that the King and Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia enjoy his total confidence. So he has essentially given them a diplomatic blank check.
And that is why many believe Saudi Arabia, along with the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Egypt, miscalculated when they imposed an air, sea and land blockade on Qatar 7 months ago. Qatar denies accusations of backing terrorist organizations. Trump initially supported the blockade before the White House shifted its position.
He stood very much on the side of Saudi Arabia, and I think he has simply gone ahead with whatever his son-in-law transmitted to him in terms of messages between Mohammed bin Salman and himself. And at the beginning, he demonstrated that he knew very little as to the strategic importance of Qatar to the United States.
Trump has more than once shown a lack of knowledge, not just about U.S. interests. While meeting Lebanon's Prime Minister Saad Hariri, he seemed confused about the role of Hezbollah.
Lebanon is on the front lines in the fight against ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Hezbollah.
Hezbollah is a part of the government. It's also backed by Iran. Iran has been the common denominator between the Trump administration, the Saudis, and the Israelis. But so far, there doesn't seem to be a clear strategy on how to confront Iran.
They are hoping to roll Iran back further in Iraq and in Syria after ISIS has been pushed back already last year. But how they do it is very, very unclear. There's talk at the moment of a permanent American military presence on a small scale in Syria, but it is overwhelmingly likely that Iran is going to maintain a major influence there.
U.S. troops were deployed in the mainly Kurdish region in northeast Syria to assist in the fight against ISIL. The U.S.-led coalition says the American personnel will stay and help create a border security force of 30,000 mainly Kurdish troops. The U.S. policy is to contain Iran, and it is using its only leverage in Syria, the Kurds, to try to do that.
Trump doesn't have a new policy for Syria. He inherited his predecessor policy of no direct military intervention. But he doesn't want the Russians, Iranians, the Syrian regime and Hezbollah to declare victory. The U.S. is not in a position to confront, but it wants to postpone a declaration of victory.
What he didn't postpone, however, was his campaign pledge.
But today we finally acknowledge the obvious, that Jerusalem is Israel's capital.
With this highly controversial move, Trump overturned decades of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. But 1 year in, what this administration thinks its policies in the region will ultimately achieve remains unclear. Zeina, Khodr, Al Jazeera, Beirut.